Gale International is a real estate investment development firm. We're headquartered in New York City. We're doing a variety of interesting projects around the world. Recently on developing smart, sustainable cities, focused primarily on Asia. And we're doing the project in Korea called the Songdo International Business District. Well, smart city is really a city that takes into account the needs of the citizens, the people who live, work, and play in our cities. And what we found is that if we can put the absolute best technology and infrastructure into the development, the way people are actively working in the city, the way they're living, their ability to function more efficiently in their jobs, is actually creating a differentiated product for us in the marketplace, which allows our real estate to be more valuable in the long run. Songdo International Business District is located in the city of Incheon. It's adjacent to the capital of the Republic of Korea, Seoul. It sits just on the west coast of the Korean Peninsula. And we're working on a city-scale development project there at the behest of the Incheon Metropolitan City Government. And our development is called the Songdo International Business District. And Songdo International Business District is meant to be a hub of economic activity in Korea, and designed to attract multinational corporations, investors, and occupiers to come and set up shop in Korea. Korea came to the U.S. seeking a U.S. developer who could help them with their master plan for this new city. And we were one of the select few who I think made the trip over to Korea to take a look at this project. And we were very impressed with what we saw. And we believed in the passion of the Korean people, in the commitment that was being made from an investment perspective, from a desire to create a transformative place, a new place, done from scratch and made from nothing, effectively, to create a city that would provide economic vitality for the region, create tens of thousands of jobs for Korea, and at the end of the day, bring a significant return on investment for ourselves and our investor partners. Well, I think there's really a lot more similarities between Korea and the U.S. than there is dissimilarities. You have stable democracy, rule of law. You have a very sophisticated business community. You have a very well-funded investment network. So our ability to do development at scale, much like we have been doing here in the U.S., was not really encumbered by the Korean economic model. In fact, it was rather complementary to what we're doing. As it is in doing business anywhere internationally, there are cultural differences. But the ability for us to function as we function normally here in our U.S. developments was really quite similar. Well, we really think a lot of the type of technologies, whether that's sustainable infrastructure or citizen services that are being deployed to the people who live and work in our developments, those types of technologies are useful anywhere. But transforming an existing city, doing a brownfield development or taking a city that's currently stressed is a bigger challenge per se than starting from scratch. And we had the benefit in Korea of starting from reclaimed land on which we were able to build new infrastructure, the latest technologies to make it more sustainable, to make it more environmentally responsible, more economically viable. Doing that here in the U.S. Is a little more difficult. Part of that has to do with how people view large-scale development. There's a lot of stakeholders who are involved who don't necessarily want to necessarily affect change as it might affect their current circumstance, whatever that might be, positively or negatively. So I think the U.S. has a greater challenge, not that it doesn't need it, and not that many cities aren't looking to improve the way that they operate and improve their attraction to bring investment and people to want to come to those cities. That's certainly needed, but I think the U.S. has a little bit further way to come than maybe some of the emerging economies are actively pursuing this type of development. And we're really seeing a big focus on sustainability and wellness. When we started developing our project in Korea, we actually brought the USGBC LEED standard to Korea and worked very closely with our partners at POSCO to deploy that technology throughout our development. We now have more than 22 million square feet of LEED certified space in our footprint alone. And that represents about 40% of all the LEED certified space in Korea. But when we first brought the LEED standard to Korea, there was not a tremendous appetite for green development. There was not something that the market was seeking per se. Not that they were against green development, it's just it wasn't something that they were actively pursuing. So what we found, though, is over time that the international, multinational corporations who have corporate social responsibility mandates to relocate into real estate with an accredited standard of sustainable design development, it was, in fact, a necessity for us to design and build to a green standard. We used the USGBC LEED. But now, more importantly, not just the building itself, but what is the living environment within that building. And there now is the WELL standard that the USGBC has adopted. And we're looking to bring the WELL standard to Korea also, which affects how people live, work, and play inside these structures. So from the lighting, the air quality, the building materials, the cleaning materials, all of those things need to take into account what is the human condition in those spaces. So LEED, sustainability, and wellness are all, we think, critical going forward for smart, sustainable cities to be developed effectively. When the project was first being developed, it was brand new, so people didn't have a concept of what was this new place that was being built on reclaimed land. So there was a sense of, well, it's that development out there. And like any new thing, until it's real enough that someone can come down and touch and feel and experience it, there was some amount of naysaying and some amount of trepidation about why would I want to necessarily be there or work there. But now that we're at a point where we've built out 60+ million square feet, where there's a tremendous amount of Class A development going on around us, residential, commercial, et cetera, where we have our hotels and our schools and our convention centers and our residential towers, commercial spaces are in place, and it's a real living, breathing city that has a vibrancy and energy of its own. People are coming down in droves to look at the development from Seoul. It's actually become a tourist destination for us. So it really needs to be far enough along for the general population to really embrace it and to understand the validity of the development and the promise of the development, which is now being fully realized.